There's a wound that makes life feel heavy. And it usually comes from a background of lack, so healing this wound helps you open up to more abundance and money. But I find it doesn't end with just that, because this belief permeates into practically every aspect of life. The way you see yourself, relationships, and love. And it is the belief that I am a burden. Likely, what happened is that somewhere in your childhood, there were circumstances that made you unconsciously believe your needs were too much. Maybe you needed help, care, attention, money, or love. But instead of feeling safe to receive those things, you learned that needing anything made life heavier for those around you. So over time, you learn to make yourself small, to minimize your needs and not ask for too much, to essentially become easy to love, easy to care for, easy to be around, so you wouldn't feel like a burden to anyone. And this can show up in so many different ways. You may see spending money as burdensome or heavy, even if it's for your own basic needs. Or in love and relationships, you may fall into a dynamic where you either become the hyper-responsible one, the one who takes care of everyone else's needs or emotional states, and takes on burdens that were never fully yours to handle in the first place. Or it can show up in the opposite way, where you need constant reassurance through more gifts, more love, more time, and you feel like it's never enough because deep inside, you still believe love can be taken away and disappear in an instant. This wound is one of the wounds that causes anxious and avoidant attachment styles and codependency patterns in relationships. I will say it's not the cure-all, but it is one of the wounds, so I believe it's an important one to face. And when it's fully healed, it makes life, relationships, and love more light, fun, and full of love instead of the heavy kind. Because when you heal a wound that's tied to love and relationships, the moment you heal, the people around you change too. Well, sometimes they leave too, I'll be truthful. But other times, the bond gets stronger. It's just gonna depend if that person that you're with is meant for you or not. So in today's video, we're gonna talk about signs you may have this wound, the exact process I used to heal this wound, and what changes I saw afterwards. So let's get started. So I went over a brief overview of the signs earlier, but I'm adding a more in-depth list here, just in case, because there's a specific nuance to this wound, and it tends to manifest in specific ways. But signs you may have the belief of being a burden is that you may have a hard time asking for help because you don't want to be a burden to others. The act of spending money feels heavy and burdensome, and thus subconsciously you end up in a state of lack instead of abundance. You may also see a repeated pattern of people leaving your life constantly or expensive things breaking all the time. Essentially, the universe is taking away these things from you because internally, your subconscious is screaming, I can't take care of all this. And so the universe says yes, and it will take away things to ease your burden. Or you may choose to push people or things away because of how burdensome it all feels. Another way it can manifest is you make yourself small in life or minimize your needs, or even simple, easy-to-do tasks feel heavy and burdensome to do, or you may have trouble doing the tasks that feel burdensome to you. And as I mentioned before, it can be one of the wounds that lead to relationships that feel burdensome and heavy, whether it be anxious and avoidant attachment style or codependency. And this is not medical advice or anything, but it can manifest as a health issue that makes you feel like more of a burden to others. And it gets worse the more you try to run away from this wound. And another way it can manifest is you might see having children as burdensome because you are seeing the world through the eyes of your own wounded inner child. And thus some people don't want to have children because they see them as burdensome, or you fear you can't handle the heavy burden of having a child. And it's completely okay to not want to have a child, but I'm just putting it on the list in case anyone has like a tiny little glimmer of hope for having a child, but this fear is holding them back. But yes, those are the ways I see this wound manifest in my own life and those around me. So now let's talk about what process I like to use to heal deep-rooted inner beliefs. So I like to use a method of seeing and accepting. And I learned this from a Japanese YouTuber called Kengo. So I will link his YouTube in the description. But he talks a lot about seeing and accepting. And I resonate with that process a lot. So I tend to use it in my work. But seeing means we need to become aware of the subconscious beliefs that are kind of controlling our life and bring that up to our conscious mind. Essentially become aware of ourselves and what is in our subconscious. And accepting means instead of ignoring, denying, or suppressing the wounded parts of ourselves, accept it. Like give that version of you a hug. And also accept the negative emotions that come up while you do this inner healing work. And the way I like to do this acceptance part is through a self-talk method that I came up with and like to do. I've been testing this method with a bunch of wounds, and it's helped me so much to transform my life. Plus, it's easy to remember and do. But the reason I like to do this self-talk method is I view it as a safe way to trigger the healing process and face the scary feelings and wounds we have within ourselves in a more gentle approach. And it's also a good way to figure out whether you have the wound or not, because as you do this self-talk method, you may feel nothing in particular. And that just means you probably don't have this wound, but if you feel relief, tears coming up, a sense of discomfort, fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, or whatever emotion coming up, it helps you realize that you have this particular wound, and it helps you name what emotion is tied to that wound so that you can become aware of and accept the feelings and the wounded part of you. So this process is basically teaching you how to unconditionally love yourself. And when you unconditionally love yourself, you learn to unconditionally love others too, because all of life is a mirror. So yeah, if you feel negative emotions come up, like that's okay. You are doing the process right, actually. And repeat this process over and over again, because likely what will happen as you do this inner work is that you start manifesting circumstances in your life that will kind of trigger this wound. Like maybe someone in your life starts to become extra needy, or someone makes you feel like you're a burden, things like that. And when this happens, you need to become aware that this wound is being triggered and become aware of what emotions you feel and just accept yourself just as you are and do this whole process of seeing and accepting. And you can even do the self-talk method too. And as you repeat this process over and over again in life, you will feel less triggered over time until you no longer feel triggered, and that usually signifies that the wound has completely healed. So yeah, that is the overview of how to do the healing process. So let's get started with the self-talk method now. So say to yourself, it's okay to be a burden. It's not bad to be a burden. I see and accept myself even if I feel like a burden. And feel whatever emotions come up when you say this to yourself and accept them. Give that version of yourself a hug. So, what changes did I notice after doing this inner healing work? The number one thing I noticed when I healed this belief of being a burden is you shift naturally into this new way of seeing yourself and the world around you. Like, instead of seeing yourself as a burden, you instead see yourself as a blessing. And this belief of I am a blessing, It helps you tune into what everyone, including yourself, is blessed with and abundant with in life, what your natural gifts are in this world, and you just see the beauty of everyone and how each of our blessings help one another in this web of interconnectedness that is life. Like now, I can see this entire life as a blessing, and everyone in my life is a blessing. And not to discount perhaps the imperfect aspects of people, including myself, but even those imperfections don't feel as heavy as they did in the past. Like now, the parts of myself and people's personalities that were heavy feel neutral now, is what I would say. And it's strange. Like it was all just a part of my subconscious that was essentially judging myself or people as burdensome, heavy, or full of needs. But yeah, it doesn't feel heavy anymore. Like I even embrace it because it kind of feels like there is no burden anymore. Because you live in a world of abundance now, and no matter how many needs you or others have, you know the universe will bless you and everyone with whatever need you have. Second, I was the type of person before who tried really hard to minimize my needs and wants in life to the point that I eventually lost myself. Like I no longer knew what I needed or actually wanted in life anymore. And as I healed this wound, I can now allow myself to be a burden at times. And I don't judge myself or label it like I did in the past. Like the me that tried their best to be independent can now relax and be okay being dependent at times. Like I see and realize the parts of me that is dependent and has always been dependent on others, and I'm completely okay with it. Whereas, like in the past, I completely avoided seeing the dependent parts of myself. But when you do that, you can't see and be grateful for things people do for you that you can't do or you'd rather not do. I've also noticed that people around me change too, and they're more independent now and try to take on more responsibilities on their own that they couldn't do before. I will say this process is not the most comfortable because it looks like two people entering a different era in their lives and it takes getting used to. But this process happens naturally. Like you don't have to force yourself or other people to change or anything like that. This all happens because internally you're okay with all of your feelings and you just realize being a burden is okay. And that inner self talk kind of gets reflected out into the external world. And it should overall feel like you're returning to a more relaxed, free, forgiving version of yourself. Third, money feels so much lighter and fun to spend now. Like you feel happy, joyful, and more carefree spending money. Before, it would feel heavy, like a responsibility and something to be serious about, particularly when I was spending for others or when I felt like I was spending too much on myself. And during those times, I would force the positivity or abundant feeling, but now I don't need to force it. Like, this is the specific exercise I did while shopping, and I think it really helped me heal the wounds specifically tied to spending money. So the exercise is like when you take out your wallet and tap your card, name whatever feelings come up when you do this and accept those feelings. And be aware of what wound is being triggered when you spend money. And likely it might be this wound. Like usually I would feel fear spending money or just like a sense of being depleted, things like that. Doing this process over and over again of naming the feeling and accepting your feelings, it helped that wound heal over time. I want to say in over the course of a couple months, like maybe 1 to 2 months, and I wasn't doing it every time. So now spending money is something I actually look forward to doing. It's like there was a wall before and now the wall is gone, and you understand the flow of abundance. Like spending money is actually a blessing for more money to come to you, and you feel it. I also notice at times I even forget about the concept of money. Like, money doesn't feel like money. I don't know how to explain it. It almost feels like there is no concept of money at times. Not all the time, but it happens every now and then. But yeah, that's just my experience. Or maybe that's how abundant people see money, like they don't see money. I don't know. Anyways, that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.